Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel. And today we're going to be doing a history slash full review of Kyrie's entire line. So Kyrie's been with Nike for many years and he's had a very successful line. I mean, everyone that plays, a lot of people that play basketball have played in the Kyrie, right? His line has been very solid. Pretty much the performance has been top tier for all of his shoes. So Kyrie Irving was drafted #1 by the Cleveland Cavaliers back in 2011, where he also signed a contract with Nike, of course. And if you guys remember Kyrie Irving's first logo when he signed with Nike, it wasn't that cool. It was just a K. And the look of the logo didn't look great. But of course, in 2011, if you guys remember the Hyperdunk 2011 Rising Stars PE, and then in 2012 he was wearing the Hyperdunk 2012 against Brandon Knight. If you guys remember, I believe it was the Hyperdunk, and he had that crossover and he dropped Brandon Knight. If you guys remember that, and then he just played in the Hyperdunk and also the Hyper Rev. I believe I have a Hyper Rev Kyrie Irving PE, which is pretty dope. So he would just wear kind of like Nike shoes, of course, because he was signed with Nike. That all changed, of course, with the Kyrie 1, right? So in 2014, he finally got his first signature shoe. And one of my grails that one of the shoes that I want really freaking bad, but that I don't have, is the very first Kyrie, and that's the Dream colorway. Kyrie was only 22 years old, and it released December 23rd in 2014, the Kyrie 1, right? And it was a Dream colorway. I remember it, and I was very sad because I wanted to get it. But at that time, I didn't really have any money, and I wasn't really doing YouTube or anything. I remember I started with the Kyrie 2, and it was the Kyrie 2 Effect. And if I remember correctly, one of the first shoes that I reviewed on this channel was the Hyperdunk 2015. Actually, back then, it was just me reviewing shoes. And then the KD8, I think. But anyways, yeah, so good times, right? And then when the Kyrie 1 released, it was only 110 bucks, so it was budget pricing. And of course, the second colorway that released was the Deceptive colorway. It was kind of like more like a red colorway than the Dream, and that released January 10th, 2014. So this shoe, the Kyrie 1, was designed by Leo Chang and took a lot of inspiration from where Kyrie was born, in Australia. So as you guys can see, the teeth here in the outsole on the lateral side was inspired by the Sydney Opera House. And also, if you guys remember the two-finger design, I can't really see it with this ID color, but it was supposed to have like a little bit of a strap thing here, which doesn't really do a whole lot. I guess it kind of does help with support a little bit, but yeah, this Hyperfuse material is already super stiff, so don't really need it in my opinion. Also, as you guys can see, the outsole, we have a very aggressive herringbone traction pattern, and they said, of course, Kyrie needs traction because he's so shifty, and of course he needs traction. And there's really no outsole curvature. There's a little bit, just a tiny bit of curve here, but we didn't really see the outsole curvature until the Kyrie 2, which we'll get into. And it says, it's supposed to wrap around here for 360-degree traction. The cushion, of course, was very underwhelming. I mean, Kyries have never had good cushioning until, I guess, the 8, right? I mean, I guess like the 5, 6. 5 and the 6 are okay with the Zoom Turbo, but yeah, the cushion was really bad. We got Phylon, which was super stiff, and I believe there's a very thin rectangular zoom unit in the forefoot, which you can't feel. And of course, here we got Kyrie Irving's new logo. Remember the updated logo? He got a new logo for the Kyrie 1, and underneath that it says JBY for Just Be Yourself, which we don't really see in this shoe anymore. And the overall weight of the Kyrie 1 is pretty light. I believe it was like 11. Okay, so 11.5 ounces. So that's overall pretty light. But as far as performance goes, the Kyrie 1 is probably one of my least favorites to play in, unfortunately, just because the traction was not very nice for me. It would slide out, especially on dusty surfaces, but it's my favorite, definitely my favorite aesthetically in his entire line. And as far as my favorite colorways of the Kyrie 1, of course, is the Dream colorway. We got the All-Star colorway. We also have the BHM colorway and the Double Nickel colorway, where he scored 55 points in the game against the Trailblazers. Alright, now moving on to the Nike Kyrie 2. The Kyrie 2, of course, was also designed by Leo Chang. The Kyrie 2 released December 15th, 2015 with the Effect colorway, which I don't have anymore, unfortunately, and they did increase the price to 120 bucks as opposed to the Kyrie 1, which was 110 bucks. And the Kyrie 2, as if you guys know, the traction on the Kyrie 2 is god tier. It's freaking amazing. It's a weird traction pattern. I mean, I'm not gonna even say what this looks like, sorry. But it has like an oval shape and it has this kind of like pivot circle in the middle of the forefoot, which made turning like this very nice and very easy. And the traction, just as you guys all know, is really good. It has an amazing bite. Cushion is very underwhelming. We have a very stiff phylon and a heel zoom unit. Whoa, can't really feel it. Very stiff, rock hard cushion actually. And this is also the first introduction of the outsole curvature, right? The outsole curvature is super nice. It curves up a lot and kind of keeps you on like the medial side here where the ball of your foot is, right? That was revolutionary in my opinion, and we really haven't seen that shape in any other basketball shoes, not that I know of. So I really like how that feels, and of course we have extra traction here as well for more grip if you're doing crazy movements like this. Materials with this like fuse, like hyperfuse, it wasn't very nice. You know, it gets the job done. It's pretty thin. It conforms to your foot okay. Overall, it's like really stiff just because of this fuse. You guys can hear it, right? Of course, we have this iconic strap, and this is my ID, so it says LAX. And I mean, the strap ruins your laces and doesn't really do anything for containment, but support was very good. And also here it says number 2, because I believe Kyrie was number 2 back then. And of course we have the Kyrie Irving logo on the tongue. The overall weight of the Kyrie 2 was like 12 point something and 12.87 ounces. So they definitely did increase the weight of the Kyrie 2, but still, like, that's pretty much average weight. And my favorite colorways of the Kyrie 2 were the Crispy Cream colorway. That colorway is sick. And also the Kyrachi. The Kyrachi colorway was super dope as well. Now we got the Kyrie 3. I'm sorry, these are just all my IDs. But yeah, the Kyrie 3 released December 25th, 2016. So you guys all know Kyrie usually release during December. And the first colorway that came out was the Black Ice colorway for 120 bucks. So the Kyrie traction had a dynamic traction, ooh, cool, that included independent suspension pods here on the medial and lateral sides of the shoe. And also the outsole curvature, still super crazy. It keeps you on this side of the shoe or this side of your foot, which feels very nice in my opinion. Cushion, of course, was really bad. We can see the zoom unit, exposed zoom unit here. Yeah, you can't really feel it all too much. Super stiff foam as well. So 1, 2, and 3, horrendous cushion. But the traction, of course, was really good in the Kyrie 3 as well. We have pretty much the same exact kind of like hyperfuse material. It's pretty stiff, especially with this fuse. It's thin though, but it feels really glued down. It feels really supportive too, but just not the most comfortable feeling material. And of course we have this, remember this band? And they're like, oh, we got this band with the fly wire. It's supposed to increase the support and all that. Not really, it doesn't do a whole lot in my opinion, but of course we have the fly wire here too. And here in the heel it says Nike Zoom, as well as Kyrie Irving's logo here on the tongue as always. The weight of the Kyrie 3 I believe is kind of heavy. No, it's actually average weight, 12.63. It's just like this shoe, the material is like super stiff, so it feels a little bit heavier for some reason. But my favorite colorways of the Kyrie 3, of course, are the Mamba Mentality, the Tiffany colorway, and also the Samurai colorway. Remember, the swoosh is kind of like a sword, like a katana. That colorway is super sick. But there is the Kyrie 3, solid performer, but of course, still lacking with the cushion. All right, next we got the Kyrie 4. This is the Black Ice colorway. This is the first color, or the first colorway that came out was a confetti, remember that? But the first general release colorway was the Black Ice color, which is this one. So it released December 16th, 2017 for the confetti colorway, and then the Black Ice colorway released December 20th for 120 bucks. So the Kyrie 4 traction featured this new flex groove pattern. It kind of continues with the zigzag pattern throughout this entire outsole. It doesn't really do anything, I guess, I don't know, does it really improve the flexibility of the outsole? I don't think so. But we have nubs, and the Kyrie 4 traction was really bad at first. It was really bad, and I did a whole video on it. You have to, if you guys remember, you have to kind of like wear off the microscopic nubs on it, right? And once you did that, then the traction got really good. Of course, we still have the crazy outsole curvature, which I really like. And here in the Kyrie 4, as you guys can see, it's this mesh material, but it's super soft. Look at that. Or it's not super soft, but it's a lot softer than the materials found in the Kyrie 1, 2, and 3. So I really like that as well. And here in the Kyrie 4, we have the teeth coming up. You know, it's kind of reminiscent of the Kyrie 1 a little bit. As far as the cushioning goes, we got full length cushion, which was super nice. We have a good compression here in the heel zoom unit, which but so far the Kyrie 4 is probably my favorite out of the 1, 2, and 3. It's just a really nice performer. And here on the tongue, we got the Kyrie Irving logo. And this is when he started to go with the Illuminati stuff. You know, here in the back of the tongue, he kind of kept it a little bit more subtle. You know what I mean? In the 4, you can see the eyeball and the triangle or whatever. But yeah, the Kyrie 4, amazing performer. And some of my favorite colorways of the Kyrie 4 was the red carpet. The red carpet was super sick. You guys remember the cereal colorways? The Kicks one was probably my least favorite, but there was like Lucky Charms was dope, you know? And then the CNY colorway was super sick with the flowers here and this overall dope, like kind of like red maroon color. And then of course the 80s colorway, which I do have in my room. The overall weight of the Kyrie 4, I believe, was like around average too. Yeah, like 12.91. It's a little bit heavier than average, but not super heavy. All right, next we got the Kyrie 5, and this is the Taco colorway. The Kyrie 5 released November 22nd of 2018, so a little bit earlier than normal, which is kind of weird. And then they released the Black Magic colorway, and it was released for $130. And of course, this is the first ever Zoom Turbo unit in a basketball shoe, and which was super nice. I was very excited. Remember when it came out, I was like, yo, Zoom Turbo, Kyrie's line is finally gonna have pretty good cushion. And yeah, the Zoom Turbo is very nice, especially here in the forefoot. The foam though, is like still super stiff, not very nice, but at least in the forefoot it's very nice, right? Here for the traction was still pretty damn nice. You did need to break it in a little bit, but once you did, overall very nice. But sadly, here in the Kyrie 5s, when they started to make it super flat. Look at this, right? It doesn't really have, like comparing it to, let's see, the Kyrie 3, right? If you guys see, if I put a little bit of weight here, right? It just really wants to rock over. Here for the Kyrie 5, it's more flat, right? And I mean, they still have the curve here a little bit, but it doesn't start curving from the middle of the outsole. It starts curving like just right here, as opposed to like the Kyrie 2, 3, and 4, where it starts to curving like right here. And you have that nice curve. So that definitely does suck. And since the 5 all the way to the 8, it stayed like that. Unfortunately, I wish they would go back to the original shape of like the 2. And as far as the materials go, it's pretty much the same exact material as the Kyrie 4. It's like a mesh, you know. It's a $130 is like still kind of on the cheaper side of things, and I guess they don't really want to give Kyrie like nice materials. Remember when Flyknit was a thing? And that was kind of like the gold standard for materials. Well, I wanted Flyknit and Kyrie's for so damn long, but they just kept giving us mesh. And of course, here in the midfoot, we got this Flytrap strap, super iconic. It helps lock down, of course, the midfoot and kind of like the forefoot as well. And it pulls on fly wire, so when you tighten these laces, it pulls on this fly wire and tightens the overall strap, which was a very nice system. Ankle support was good. And the overall shoe though, the Kyrie 5 is kind of heavy. If I remember correctly, it's like 14 ounces? Oh no, 13.54. So that's not super heavy, but it's getting a little bit heavier, right? So of course we had the Zoom Turbo unit, which was nice, but one bad thing about it is that it made it so damn stiff here in the forefoot. You know, it really doesn't articulate, right? So for example, here in the Kyrie 4, look at that. Look at that, right? A lot of forefoot flex. Let's check the 3. I don't think oh yeah, the 3 still has flex, you know. But the 5 and also the 6, which we'll get into in a little bit, is very stiff because of the Zoom Turbo unit. My favorite colorways of the Kyrie 5 was the Mamba Mentality one. You know, it was inspired by the Kobe 5 Chaos color. That colorway is super sick. And the SpongeBob Pineapple House one was super sick as well. Of course, we have Kyrie Irving's logo here on the tongue as always. And here in the, in this Taco colorway, it's, I don't know, this kind of like weird smiley face, but in the other general release colorways, it was the eyeball. And now here in the Kyrie 7, Yeah, we got full-on Illuminati hand eyeball thing with triangles. Look at that on the strap. So Kyrie's not keeping it subtle anymore, you know what I mean? But the Kyrie 6, it released November 11th in 2019 in the preheat colorways for 130 bucks. So it features old school materials. I mean, not in this colorway, but in the other colorways, it has like leather and stuff like that. And as far as the weight goes, it's going for 13.62 ounces, which is it's kind of heavy. Yeah, it definitely felt kind of bulky as well, just because you have all this plastic here in the heel. We got this really thick plastic strap, which doesn't do anything. Got a lot of padding, which felt comfortable, but with all this, it made it feel like pretty like bulky, in my opinion. And the material is like, it's kind of soft, but like because of this, as you guys can see, like this rubber piece here, it made it feel a little bit stiffer. So overall, I mean, not my favorite Kyrie, definitely. And forgot to mention, there's another eyeball here. There's a lot of eyeballs, you know what I mean? And traction was very nice. The traction, solid. But of course, we have more of like that flat outsole curvature, which I don't like. I mean, it's still nice. It's better than it being like fully flat, but I just wanted to go back to like the Kyrie 2s, you know what I mean? Cushion, of course, we have the same exact Zoom Turbo unit as the Kyrie 5. And I mean, there's a little bit of compression. I mean, overall, it's still pretty stiff as far as the Phylon goes. So the Kyrie 6, although it's like pretty damn nice, it's not my favorite shoe to play in. But next we got the Kyrie 7, right? It came out November of 2020 and it retails for 130 bucks. And the traction is a lot better. The traction actually is top tier. It has a very, very good bite, but not durable at all. And as far as the outsole curvature goes, pretty flat. Of course, you always have rubber coming up on the side, which gives you like more grip when you're doing these types of movements, but it's more of like a flatter shape. So anyways, there's the outsole there. The cushion, same thing. I mean, the foam is a little bit softer than the Kyrie 6 and the Kyrie 5, but it's still like not that soft. And then we have a Zoom Turbo unit in the forefoot, which feels nice, but like I said, pretty damn stiff here in the forefoot, right? And then the materials used in the Kyrie 7 though are like very, very thin. They kind of went back to the Kyrie 4. You know, if you guys remember the Kyrie 4 with this mesh material, it's super thin, but pretty damn soft. Same thing with the Kyrie 7. They kind of missed out on that in the Kyrie 5 and the Kyrie 6, but also there's no annoying strap. There's no crazy plastic or anything making the shoe overall super heavy. I love the aesthetics. I really like this teeth pattern. It reminds me a lot of the Kyrie 1. We got the fingers here as well. I had no issue with the support. I mean, any Kyries, there's never any issues with support. And of course here in the heel, we got eyeballs. Woo! And also here, kind of like in the beginning of the tongue, we got a triangle. And of course, here on the tongue, we got the Kyrie Irving logo. So some of my favorite colorways of the Kyrie 7 are the Weatherman colorway and the alternate Weatherman colorway. Super dope. And also I love the ray gun and the white, black, and gold color that came out as well. And of course, the last shoe so far in Kyrie's line is the Kyrie 8 or the Kyrie Infinity or the Kyrie 8 Infinity. Unfortunately, it's still not out in the US. But I mean, it's pretty easy to get. If you guys want to get it, you guys can just go to StockX. It's like 90 bucks, 100 bucks. That's below retail, definitely, right? But yeah, they added a Zoom stroll unit here in the forefoot, which is super nice. And also the lowest to the ground feeling cushion in any Kyrie. I mean, Kyries usually have good court feel, but the Kyrie 8 for some reason feels extremely low to the ground. And also, look at that, we're back to flexible soles. Look at that, I like that, you know? And also for the traction is solid. As far as the best traction goes in the Kyrie, I would say the 2 is up there, the 3 is up there, the 4 is up there as well when you break it in. 6 was okay, 7 is up there as well. I would say 8 is kind of like mid a little bit. It's not as good as those, but it's still very, very good. And we still have that pretty flat shape as far as the outsole curvature goes, which kind of sucks, you know. Please, for the Kyrie 9, make it super curved. You know, I want that outsole curvature back. But yeah, the traction is really good and the cushion is definitely the best in this entire line. Materials, they went back to a very soft material here in the toe box, and they kind of bring it back to the Kyrie 6, which had a good amount of padding, right? There's a good amount of padding here in the ankle area, and for the tongue, actually, I would say the Kyrie 8 has a lot more padding. But of course, Kyrie 8 doesn't have all this plastic and this strap and stuff, and the Kyrie 8 is like, it's pretty light. It's like 12.17 ounces. So overall, I would say the Kyrie 8 is probably one of the best performing Kyries in his entire line. You know, the cushioning is the best. I just wish the Kyrie 2 traction would come back on this. You know, not just the performance of the traction, but also the shape. Then the Kyrie 8 would be perfect. It would be so damn nice. But yeah, I mean, I'm really liking the evolution of the Kyrie line. They're definitely improving the tech, and they're keeping it like in the mid-tier price range. You know, the KD started to become pretty damn expensive since the KD 8, right? It was like 180 bucks, 200 bucks. KD 9, same thing. And I think since the KD 12, the KD 12 is when it started to go down in price. It went back down to the $150 price range. But I mean, this is also the Kyrie 8. You know, I kind of want Kyrie's to get to that kind of like high-end price range, just so they could use better tech and better materials and all that. But you know, of course, Kyrie's line is very iconic, and it has that look, that design where you know it's a Kyrie. And a lot of people don't like it, and I also kind of don't like it sometimes. It's like, oh dude, can we get a different design? You know what I mean? Like for the Kyrie 8 when it came out, we're like, yo, it looks like the Kyrie 6 and the Kyrie 7. But if you look at like Kobe's line, which is super iconic as well, a lot of his shoes look very similar too. It has that low top design, you know what I mean? And to the untrained eye, I've had people that can't tell the difference, right? So I really, once we look back at Kyrie's line, I feel like, you know, we'll definitely appreciate it. And I wonder how long Kyrie's line is going to go for, right? Of course, we got the Kyrie S2, and also this shoe was called the Kyrie S1 hybrid, you know, and this is a combination of the Kyrie 1, 2, and 3. I definitely wish the Kyrie 2 traction was put onto this shoe and not the Kyrie 1, just because I wanted better traction on this. But pretty damn sick shoe. There's only 3 colorways that came out, which is very sad. But of course, the Kyrie S2 came out, and there's a lot of colorways of this. Great performing shoe, as the Kyrie 4 outsole, and this is a great performing shoe as well. I feel like the S2 is way better than the S1 for performance. But anyways, that about wraps up this video. And also, I wanted to thank you guys for sticking with me. If you guys are longtime fans of this channel, I want to appreciate you guys. And also, if you're a new person or a relatively new subscriber or fan of this channel, I just want to thank you guys for supporting. Tell us what your favorite Kyrie is down in the comment section below, aesthetically and also performance wise. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.